Let's talk about why Bitcoin is most likely to thrive as we see the global financial order fraying, right? So the global financial order right now, we can say that it's not built to last, right? It's built to control from tariffs, or whether you're looking at currency wars, from debt spirals to digital sanctions. We are witnessing the slow motion unraveling of a post-World War II international order. And while old powers rattle sabers and shuffle central bank balance sheets, a new monetary lifeboat is quietly gaining trust. And I think it's safe to say that it's hard to ignore that Bitcoin is that digital gold, that asset right now, that in an era that is defined by weaponized finance, the battle lines aren't drawn by tanks or troops anymore. They aren't all of that. They really kind of now really dependent on the tariff hikes, sanctions, swift bans, whether there's control of rare earth exports, as we see these tensions between the US and China escalate, that economic battlefield growing more and more volatile by the day, right? So when we see Washington's imposition of tariffs and export controls being met with China's rare earth restrictions and this tit-for-tat logic, doesn't just punish manufacturers here, it actually destabilizes supply chains. It also erodes trust, and also generally undermines the very concept of a neutral, rules-based global order, right? And I think the result of all of that is a future where countries actually stop trusting one another's currencies and systems and start seeking alternatives they can control themselves. So when we look at this shift from Bretton Woods to the Belt Road, the US dollar that once held its strength through compromise, promise, open markets, predictable institutions, and military backed global security, I think today we can safely say that it holds power through pressure, through freezing assets, right? Threats of trade, tariffs, or weaponizing debt. When we look at China, on the other hand, I think they are building a counter-narrative infrastructure-led globalization. They, through their Belt and Road Initiative, partnerships with the Global South, and now just experiments with commodity-backed digital currencies. They're not only exporting ideology, I think they are trying to insulate themselves from vulnerability, which is not anti-American. I think it's just an anti-fragility kind of thing. And this is why you see Bitcoin rising as, these empires wobble, right? So there's a twist here in a world that's divided by distrust. Bitcoin is the only monetary network that belongs to no state, no party, no political agenda. It cannot be censored. It cannot be inflated. It cannot be weaponized, right? It is the antithesis, right, of a fiat diplomacy, as both the US and China dig deeper into this financial confrontation, if you want to put it that way, coercing allies, hoarding resources, racing for technological supremacy. I think Bitcoin becomes that neutral ground. It offers a monetary anchor in a world where even gold has kind of a geopolitical baggage, right? So when we look at the trade wars, the debt traps, and that return of capital controls, I think the US fiscal policy is no longer around sound money. Clearly, it's about survival, right? Debt issuance, funds, pretty much everything in from defense to stimulus, right? So the Fed has just become this buyer of last resort here. Financial repression isn't a theory anymore. It's actually policy. As the bond market itself cracks, the US keeps printing, right? I'm seeing emerging markets struggle, capital fleeing to safer shores, safety itself is definitely eroding and vanishing here. And Bitcoin doesn't offer utopia, right? But it does offer you a bit of an exit, not from taxation or responsibility, but from systematic, baked into fiat monetary regimes that punish savers, right, by debasement, that enable wars, that manipulate trust. Okay, so when we're moving to this multipolar monetary order that we are entering into, I think where there's China's digital yuan, Russia's gold settlements, BRICS's whispered plans for a new reserve system, it's one thing is clear. I think the dollar's dominance itself is looking shaky. It's not eternal anymore. But none of these alternatives offer a truly global alternative, right? So they're national tools that are kind of for regional hedging. Bitcoin is different in that regard because it's not the currency of the East or the West. It's a currency of opting out of that fiat system as global systems fragment. I think you'll see more and more Bitcoin being that connective tissue, stateless, censorship resistant, borderless, programmable. And while these old empires played this dangerous game of chicken with tariffs, tanks, tit for tats, those who are paying attention are hedging their futures in code and not conflict. And because in the end, trust in systems can be broken, trust in math, that's a different story. Bitcoin doesn't rise because systems fail, but actually rises because systems fail exactly because they were designed not for the people, but for control, right? So people are now finally starting to notice, and I think you need to start doing the same. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin and why it's such an important tool for financial freedom in the 21st century, please go to decentralized.news for the best cryptocurrency exchange reviews, DeFi platforms, NFT marketplaces, all things crypto. And like, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Check out the links to my favorite crypto trading platforms, my favorite tools. Just head on over to our main site, decentralized.news. On the ecosystems tab, you've got a selection of the best cryptocurrency exchanges, best wallets, all that great stuff. If you like Web3 wagering, you can also go and check that over there. Peace. Love.